I'm Scott, this is my wife Amy, and this is our story of restoration.
So when Pastor Kirk started talking about restoration and restoring and 25 days of fast and giving first things first, Scott and I wanted to dive into that, and we chose the Daniel fast. And both of us talked about our prayer life, and I knew that my prayer life wasn't where it needed to be. You'd think with two boys that my prayer life would be stronger than it was, but one of the specific things that we were going to pray for and that I knew I was going to pray for was my son's, Brady's, heart health. Brady's been followed by a cardiologist since the day he was born. We've had EKGs every month, if not twice a month of his life since October. And on the last EKG, the doctor could not place a diagnosis, was trying to figure out the diagnosis for Brady if he had long QT syndrome.
So while Brady was diagnosed with an irregular heartbeat and a murmur at birth, Amy and I weren't overly concerned at that point because we knew that he could live a normal, healthy life. It wasn't until after the heart monitor around Christmas that this LQT syndrome issue arose, and that coincided right with the beginning of our Daniel fast.
In layman's terms, what that means is that the electricity of restarting the heart, Brady's, is prolonged, and it was prolonged after we found out the heart monitor 97% of the time. And the long QT syndrome would place a life expectancy on Brady's life for 9-10 years.
So that's when Amy and I, pledged to each other and to our family that we would, lift Brady in our prayers.
Through those 25 days, on that last day of the fast, on January 30th, Brady had his cardiologist appointment.
During the office visit, I had left during our last EKG to go out and grab a bite to eat, and I remember sitting in the parking lot and praying for Brady, and I remember praying in a different way, where I wasn't praying out of anxiety or fear. I was praying knowing that Brady was healed. I was claiming victory on Brady, and it wasn't a matter of if Brady was going to get healed. It was just a matter of trusting God's timeline to know that it's not our timeline, but it's when Brady is going to be healed. It's on God's timeline. And I felt such a peace leaving and going back into the doctor's office that I walked in, and we're getting him hooked up for that last EKG, and I just knew there was a peace in my heart that Brady had been healed.
I laid him down for the EKG, and the electrodes were placed on his chest, and it took about 5 seconds for the EKG, and then the doctor walks in maybe 5-10 minutes later, and it's the most beautiful smile I'd ever seen on a doctor's face, and he says, "This is exactly what we've been looking for." And what he meant by that was these numbers that meant that his heart was restarting the way it should. And so Scott and I knew then that our prayers had been answered.
It was a growing time for Amy and I, as well as a healing time for Brady, because I think Amy and I learned a new way to pray, a new way to believe.
That prayer works, and that you need to believe and to know that God's going to do what He says He's going to do, and that's restore and love and give.
We encourage people to press on, stay strong with the praying, stay steadfast in your believing, knowing that your restoration is going to come, whether it's financially, medically, whatever areas that you're believing for restoration in. We just encourage you to stay strong, because God obviously has a plan for Brady. The healing of Brady is proof of that plan. So we can't tell enough people, because we just know how impactful it is to know that God still heals and restores, and what an amazing story.